bail for Arvind Kejriwal is what we are learning. That's some respite, like I mentioned, for the Delhi Chief Minister. Remember earlier, the Supreme Court had also, in fact, rained fire at the High Courts for not allowing bail after a trial court has granted bails in various cases, saying that if a person is not a terrorist or a criminal, why not hold the bail? And we are seeing now that Arvind Kejriwal, in fact, has been granted interim bail, whether or not it is the Supreme Court intervention, because the Supreme Court has granted that bail. Remember, there was a plea of Arvind Kejriwal before the apex court after he did not get any reprieve from the High Court after that trial court bail. My colleague Ananya is with us on the broadcast. Ananya, there was a serious observation by the Supreme Court yesterday and now bail for Arvind Kejriwal.
Well, definitely, this bail is not on merits. This bail is because the Supreme Court felt that there are some questions that need to be answered by a larger bench. And until that happens, and since Arvind Kejriwal is in, incarceration for a long while, for more than 90 days, hence he should be released on bail. However, he will not be able to come out because, he is arrested in the CBI case as well. But at this particular point of time, this comes out as a huge relief for the Delhi Chief Minister, who has been in incarceration for more than 90 days. And very clearly and categorically at this particular point of time, it is a big win coming in for the Aam Aadmi Party. Though this is not a bail that has been granted on merits, but a bail, that has been granted because certain issues which the Supreme Court felt should be going before a larger bench of the topmost of the country. Remember that this was a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court. And now the matter would be, these certain questions have been referred to a 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court that would be hearing this particular issue. But this is a big relief that comes in for the Delhi Chief Minister at this particular point of time, and a very, very crucial, order coming in from the Supreme Court when it comes to, Arvind Kejriwal.
And how long is this reprieve for, Ananya?
Well, this interim bail would continue until and unless, the large bench actually, in fact, decides upon this particular issue. But the whole, the whole issue is that since Arvind Kejriwal is also arrested in fact, the CBI case as well, hence the order might not have any effect because we still have to be in jail with regards to the CBI case of the liquor policy scam case.
Right. Ananya, thank you so much for joining us. We also have Arunima on the broadcast on this very big story that we are tracking. Arvind Kejriwal will in fact be granted interim bail. That's the word coming in from the apex court. Arunima, section 19 of PMLA that's been cited by the Supreme Court to seek more time, and not on merit has this bail been granted as per Ananya.
Yes, section 19 of PMLA allows ED officials to arrest somebody on the basis of the material that is in possession and reasons to believe that the person is guilty. So essentially what the ED has said is that they have enough material at hand to believe that Mr. Kejriwal was not just aware of the conspiracy by the South Group to pay the bribe amount, about 100 crores, but as the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, he was actively involved in the decision-making to use about 45 crore from that alleged kickback in the Goa election. So that is what section 19 deals with. So what the court is saying is that we have not examined the question of bail, but we have examined the parameters of section 19 PMLA, and we have explained the difference between section 19 and another section 45, which deals with the subject of a judicial review, and therefore we are concluding that there are reasons to believe that grounds under section 19 are met. We have sent issues to the larger bench, is what the court has said, and then come to the conclusion that interim bail must be granted. But the question again is for Arvind Kejriwal, the CBI case. I mean, I can tell you after speaking to CBI's probe team that they are also in the last stages of filing their charge sheet. In the last week of July or perhaps in the first few days of August, CBI is ready to file its charge sheet as well. So even after this interim bail, Kejriwal might have to wait for at least another fortnight before he can appeal for bail in that case also.
Right. Arunima, thank you. In fact, I request you to stay on with us. We also have Anshul on the broadcast. Anshul, the fact that Arvind Kejriwal, before his arrest, had skipped repeated summons by the probe agency, now finally an interim bail for him by the Supreme Court after having been through the trial court and the High Court. there is going to be some serious deliberation that is going to happen within the Aam Aadmi Party while he has that reprieve. What are you learning through your sources?
Well, definitely, this is a big relief to the Delhi Chief Minister and to the Aam Aadmi Party as well. But if you look at the entire case and the manner in which this investigation has gone ahead, the Enforcement Directorate has already filed a charge sheet in which they have gone ahead and made Arvind Kejriwal an accused, and also they have gone ahead and made Aam Aadmi Party an accused. But the interim bail that has been given has not been given on the merits of the case. The merits of the case has still not been discussed by the court, or they have not deliberated upon it. It is just the validity of Section 19 and the manner in which the powers that have been vested in the investigating officer of the Enforcement Directorate, that is something that is being deliberated upon. And while this case will be heard by a larger bench, an interim bail has been given to him. But it is unlikely that the Delhi Chief Minister will be walking out of jail anytime soon, because at this point in time he has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate as well, and he has been sent to judicial custody in the matter pertaining to the CBI investigation that is underway. So definitely this relief has come to him, but it remains to be seen when will eventually the legal team of Delhi Chief Minister will move a bail application in front of the courts pertaining to the CBI case. Once that is granted, then we can expect that the Delhi Chief Minister.
The Supreme Court bench has pronounced its judgment. We obviously don't have a copy of the detailed judgment yet, which will be uploaded in the course of the day. I am just giving a briefing based on what the court observed during the oral reading out of parts of the judgment. The court has examined aspects of Section 19 of requirement of arrest under the PMLA. There were certain legal issues which arose from that, which especially in the context of whether there is a requirement of necessity of arrest in addition to the requirement of Section 19 which are stipulated in that section. Those aspects the court has referred to a larger bench, and that outcome we will have to await. However, in the interim, the court has observed that Mr. Kejriwal has already undergone substantial amount of incarceration and therefore directed his immediate release in the Enforcement Directorate case. And therefore, insofar as his arrest under Enforcement Directorate is concerned, it has been directed that he should be immediately released. Now that obviously in normal circumstances would have meant that he would be released from jail immediately. However, after the trial court had granted, the vacation bench of the trial court had granted him bail, the CBI had also arrested him. Therefore, he's also been arrested by CBI in a separate, although connected case, but that's technically a separate case. Mr. Kejriwal has initiated proceedings against that also. That is pending and coming before High Court on 17th. So depending on the outcome of the CBI case, his actual release from jail will depend on that. But insofar as ED is concerned, he is no more required to be in custody as per the Supreme Court order in the ED matter. Now, and insofar as Mr. Vivek Jain.
देखिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट में हमारी याचिका के अंदर दो ग्राउंड एक ग्राउंड था मेरिट के ऊपर कि ऑन द मेरिट्स इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू बी अरेस्टेड। दूसरा था ग्राउंड की नेसेसिटी क्या है अरेस्ट की, जरूरत क्या है अरेस्ट की। जरूरत वाला पॉइंट हमने इसलिए रेज किया था क्योंकि एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट के पास एविडेंस बहुत पहले से थे, इसलिए हमने एक क्वेश्चन रेज किया था कि नेसेसिटी ऑफ अरेस्ट की जरूरत कहां से आ गई जब आपके पास एविडेंस बहुत पहले से थे। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने हमारी याचिका पे ये क्वेश्चन कंसीडर किया है कि हाँ नेसेसिटी ऑफ अरेस्ट शुड हैव बीन कंसीडर्ड। आईओ को कंसीडर करना चाहिए था कि जरूरत है।
We try and establish a connection with Ananya, who was bringing us those reactions by the lawyers who were inside the courtroom while that reprieve was granted to the Delhi Chief Minister. Remember, the Delhi Chief Minister is yet to come out of jail. He's not going to be coming out today because he still has the CBI case, which is technically a different case, although related, still pending against him, and he is arrested in that case as well. So a reprieve in the ED case, not the CBI case, Ananya.
Well, definitely, he will not be able to coming out of the jail as of now. Remember that the Supreme Court has referred certain issues with regards to whether, over the implementation of Section 19 before, in fact, a larger bench, and in the interregnum, he has been granted an interim bail as and when the the larger bench would hear this particular matter. It would also examine whether or not that interim bail should continue for the Delhi Chief Minister in this particular case. But very clearly and categorically, it is a huge relief coming in for the Delhi Chief Minister, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, who was in incarceration for last 90 days, but he still will have to be inside the jail because he is, inside in fact the CBI matter as well. And very clearly and categorically at this particular point of time, he will now be taking the recourse against that particular order of, that particular order as well. He will be moving, in fact, a bail plea before the trial court as well. But it's a big relief coming in for the Delhi Chief Minister as far as the Delhi liquor excise policy scam is concerned. However, he will not be able to come out of the jail as of now.
All right, let me take this across to Arunima also. Arunima, if you're still with us, all right, we will in fact go to Arunima in just a bit. All right, Arunima is with us on the broadcast. Arunima, about the CBI case, he still doesn't have any relief in the case. CBI is yet to file a charge sheet. When and how soon will that happen?
See, what I learned after speaking to the CBI probe team is that they are in the last stages of filing their charge sheet. Last week of July, or at most in the first few days of August, is the timeline that they're targeting. They've completed their investigation. Their probe is a little more challenging than ED because under Prevention of Corruption Act, the need to establish and have evidence clearly that a corrupt practice was followed is much more. That liability is much more on the investigating officer. Comparatively, PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, it gives that much more power to the ED's team, to the ED's IO. Plus, because ED has invoked vicarious liability, that has also, been upheld in various bail applications that Arvind Kejriwal has filed. The vicarious liability clause that ED has invoked has been dealt with. The Delhi High Court has upheld it. So that has made ED's job slightly easier. For CBI, however, the challenge is much higher, and therefore currently legal consultations are on to see as to how best the evidence that they have gathered can be put in the ambit of the Prevention of Corruption Act and under various sections of IPC to prove their case against Arvind Kejriwal. Now, with this development happening in Supreme Court, I think CBI will consider taking further legal opinion to ensure that they have a foolproof charge sheet.
Right. All right. Ananya, does that mean if we actually look at Section 19 of the PMLA and the fact that ED arrest happened on the on evidences from which they were talking about how they have reason to believe of Arvind Kejriwal's involvement in this alleged liquor scam, does this offer certain loose ends because of which this bail has been granted to the Chief Minister?
Well, there might be some loose ends. The detailed order copies to come out, and we'll have to wait and watch as to what the Supreme Court has said while granting this interim bail. What are the reasons the Supreme Court has considered while granting this interim bail? However, this relief is a huge one, but doesn't count so because he's still inside the jail. But very clearly and categorically at this particular point of time, the Delhi Chief Minister getting a huge relief from, in fact, the Supreme Court of India. And remember that, securing a bail in a PMLA matter is something that is a very difficult task, and this is just because there are stringent conditions under Section 45 of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act that makes it much more difficult to actually secure a bail in a PMLA case. However, the Supreme Court might have considered all of these issues while granting an interim bail to the Delhi Chief Minister. But what has been the reason? The reasons will come out in just a bit when the detailed order copy actually comes out. But the Supreme Court has referred certain questions to the larger bench of the Supreme Court itself. That is, if this was a 3-judges bench, the matter would now be referred to a 5-judges bench of the Supreme Court, which would be considering certain aspects and also whether or not to continue this interim bail that Justice Sanjeev Khanna-led bench has actually granted to the Delhi Chief Minister. We'll also try to, in fact, speak to the counsel for of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal in just a bit, but very clearly and categorically, at this particular point of time, the bail.
Hello.
So, we tried speaking to Mr. Shadan Farasat. He was rushing for a matter inside. Yes. But at this particular point of time, very clearly and categorically, it is a humongous relief coming in for the Delhi Chief Minister, especially when we talk about the Enforcement Directorate's case. The securing a bail is a humongous task that has been, accomplished by the Delhi Chief Minister. The next big task that he has to do is to get a bail in the CBI case as well. But we have to remember that this is not a bail that has been granted on the merits of this particular matter. It is a bail because the Supreme Court felt that there is some kind of a lacuna in law, there is some kind of a vacuum in the law that needs to be filled by a larger bench, and hence the matter has been referred to a 5-judges constitution bench of the Supreme Court itself.
Right. So whether there was a need and necessity about a formal parameter of arrest, that was a question before the court. That also led to the interim bail that was granted to Arvind Kejriwal. All of that was in fact observed in the court, in the Supreme Court, because of which this interim relief has been granted. I'd like to in fact ask all my reporters to stay with us as we are on this story. Remember, there's a big story coming out of the Apex Court. Interim bail for Arvind Kejriwal, although still he is not going to be coming out of jail because he has a CBI case pending still. We're slipping into a very, very short break at the moment. Coming right back with lots more.